Anybody remember this falling wedge on the Bitcoin weekly chart? This is really the bear cycle wedge. $60,000 target to the upside. As you know, this is a very big pattern, a macro pattern. So it takes time to hit targets. This $60,000 target plays into the shorter term move, the shorter term structure, and truly ties into the bigger story here. That is the Bitcoin spot ETF. I want to break down what is happening with the Bitcoin spot ETF. It is imminent out there. That's the word on the street right now. It is getting ready to happen. And so it is Thursday, January 4th, as I record this video. There could be potential for today. There could be potential for tomorrow. And I want to discuss, this is coming to a breaking point one way or another. And it's getting very exciting, not only just for the crypto charts, these targets that we're talking about, but also for altcoin markets and Bitcoin dominance, what's happening over here on the Bitcoin dominance chart. I want to tie it all together. So everybody, if you're out there, I appreciate you. Please hit the subscribe and that like button, and let's just jump into the video. Here's what we have going on. This is Craig over here. He's the chief legal officer at Grayscale. He just posted just over an hour ago, just filling out some forms. And so right now it's kind of trending over here on X. Grayscale chief legal officer just posted, just filling out some forms. ETF is coming this week. This is obviously the speculation of it all, but let's dig into the story and actually talk about how it applies to the charts, how it applies to what happens next in terms of a potential Bitcoin breakout. So here's the headline. Fidelity Grayscale filing 8A form show progress for spot Bitcoin ETF applications. Issuers form 8A filing signify registration that allows issuers to trade on an exchange and marks progress towards the potential approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF. It seems like we're at the finish line. This is what it seems like. The move signifies registration that allows issuers to trade on an exchange once the product has been approved. Grayscale's move comes a day after Fidelity filed its Form 8A and days ahead of an upcoming deadline for when the SEC will have to decide whether to approve or disapprove of a spot Bitcoin ETF. So we're getting there. Now here's where it starts playing into the charts, and it starts playing into which way are we going to break. And if technical analysis was a sport, right now we're in that final stretch here, and it's getting exciting in terms of finding out how this game is going to end. And when I say game, I mean just this setup, this structure, and this structure that's happening on this chart right now. It actually ties into whether or not Bitcoin is going to do something it has never done. And so we're getting into that final inning now, and this is where things are becoming exciting. So Grayscale's looking to convert its flagship BTC fund to a spot Bitcoin ETF following a long journey. That's the story. Now here's where it ties into the charts. And let me just start by saying, this was a big headline from yesterday, important in regards to what actually happens when this news breaks. Bitcoin falls, this was yesterday, as $540 million is liquidated from crypto market in 4 hours. The reason that's important is because, and there it is, there's the liquidations happening. This is the daily candle from yesterday. The reason it's important, there were longs just set, ready for the Bitcoin spot ETF. They were just there in anticipation that Bitcoin just going to get approved and it's going to go higher, right? Now, a lot of those longs got liquidated, and there are many of them on the sidelines now, just waiting now, no longer either able to take that leveraged long type of risk or not interested. And they're waiting to see what happens. What happens if there is an approval? And so as this kind of anticipation continues to build up pressure, right? And then there potentially will be an approval. All of a sudden, there might be an even bigger inflow of hype coming into Bitcoin, which will allow for just a massive breakout out of this apex. Remember, today's Thursday, right? Tomorrow, potentially, it could be approved. Friday. But then we have the weekend. So as we go into this apex, and this is a daily chart, you can just see going to the 10th. Here's the 10th. The 10th is almost exactly at the apex, like just such a nice area where we really look to 70, 75% to the apex of a triangle for a breakout, right? So the fact that this is all kind of coming together just from a technical analysis perspective is insane. Flip side as well, everybody, if it doesn't get approved, the break to the downside is very much in play. So let's discuss what could actually happen with Bitcoin. $50,000 target, first off, is the target to the upside. And I just want to point something out. This, whether there's a Bitcoin spot ETF approval or not, this would be a technical move if it were to happen that is very common out of a triangle like this. We can even go back to Bitcoin, this last area where it was kind of just going crazy. And you can see this reversal zone in red. This is a Lux Algo indicator, this reversal zone. Bitcoin just broke out to the upper area of that reversal zone. You can see the $50,000 target for Bitcoin is in the upper area of that reversal zone. That would not be uncommon. Now, here's where the $60,000 target that I discussed in the beginning of this video kind of comes into play. $50,000 target right here, right? That's where it is for Bitcoin. $60,000 target. So this is the short-term target, $50,000. The long-term target out of this falling wedge, if it hits, is $60,000. Let me just mark it right around $60,000 right here. Now, all of these charts coming together, the weekly long-term target, the daily short-term target. This is the actual story of just Bitcoin attempting to do something it's never done. That is to break through the bull market doors, the lower high Fibonacci prior to this halving. So that's that area up to around $57,000, the 786 of the Fibonacci, this green area. Right now, all the targets are in play, and we are there. We are at this short-term just trigger point in terms of Bitcoin on these charts. And the event, one of the most massive events for Bitcoin could be what triggers Bitcoin to not only make the move to 50,000, a clear technical move to this area. Obviously, it's a technical target, 50,000 out of the triangle, but it's also just this upper end of this reversal zone, which really proves to be a nice resistance, a nice area where Bitcoin could just start trading sideways, allowing the 20-day, right? But I want to show you something. The case for Bitcoin to just not only ride $50,000 hype because of the Bitcoin spot ETF approval, but this case where Bitcoin, I'm going to go all the way back to the last bull market to give you a sense. This is Bitcoin in a bull market. Notice how Bitcoin in this parabolic phase of a bull market, it just rides the entire upper end of that reversal zone, just going crazy. Barely any time, barely any window for consolidation. That's that event where I'm curious. And this is going to really answer the question. There's been so much debate in terms of, is the Bitcoin spot ETF priced in? Is it not? Are the inflows going to be ridiculous right away? This will answer the question. If we have a parabolic, ridiculous chart like that, or will Bitcoin, maybe it'll have a nice little run to 50,000 and then typical just consolidation, maybe even pull back down a little bit. But to give you a sense, that would mean, hypothetically, let's say Bitcoin's trading at where it is now, we get the Bitcoin spot ETF approval, and boom, 15%, 16% move here to the $50,000 target. Is Bitcoin just going to cool off at that moment, or is it going to just keep going crazy, kind of like that bull market vibes? One thing I do want to note in terms of talking about bull market vibes, the daily oscillator, even after this liquidation on the chart here, comes down to around the 50 area. These are bull market things happening on the daily RSI, meaning just steadily above 50, coming back down, steadily above 50. You go back to a bull market. Let me just go back here. This is what we're looking at, just kind of steadily above this area. See that coming back down to 50, hovering around 50, going back up, 50 going back up. That's that bull market vibe on the RSI. The other thing I want to point out, and I want to talk about this because I think it's important. It's the Bitcoin dominance factor. Bitcoin dominance, I think, is getting ready to top out here and start falling for the bull market, for altcoin season. But that isn't to say that there won't be another swing high, and I think there will be, and I think there will be especially because of a Bitcoin spot ETF approval. I think this will just allow altcoins potentially to take a break. And I will say, it's going to be very interesting to see how altcoins react to a Bitcoin spot ETF approval. Will altcoins be moving? If altcoins are moving with Bitcoin at the same time and not just chilling out on the sidelines watching Bitcoin go crazy, that will be very telling into Bitcoin dominance as well. But I think it's okay to anticipate on this weekly Bitcoin dominance chart, Bitcoin just going higher one more last time. We have a target potentially to 60 to 65% Bitcoin dominance, this lower high Fibonacci on the macro before falling. And this could be the Bitcoin spot ETF approval move for Bitcoin, topping out and then going into the bull market, Bitcoin dominance falling, as it has in previous bull market cycles, post Bitcoin halving. So that's what I'm looking on Bitcoin dominance. But I just want to say, Bitcoin breaking out right now, out of this triangle, maybe off of the news of a Bitcoin spot ETF, very much in play. The question is, what does BTC price do in terms of the technicals? How much hype is there? How many people are just pouring into Bitcoin to drive BTC price up, not only to $50,000 target, but higher? And I maybe should have interjected this a couple more times throughout the video. What if it's not approved? What if it's, somehow just it's rejected? If something bad comes of this, $37,000 target, I think it is, to the downside, and that's a short-term target. You go to weekly, and we have all of these targets down here for Bitcoin just to pull into. The 20-week moving average in green. This is something we've talked about a lot right there. 20-week moving average. The 50s all the way down here at 30. So Bitcoin falling into this general area, that would be a very normal pre-Bitcoin bull market move, but that could be triggered by a denial, right? So it's all about just, for everybody out there, including myself, evaluating these markets, taking it one step at a time, one day at a time. There's so much speculation. Nobody knows what or when this is going to happen or how. So we know the targets though. And one thing I will say, if everything goes so well for the bulls, Bitcoin spot ETF approval, $50,000 target hit, and it keeps going, and then we're hitting a $60,000 target, and we're breaking those bull market doors prior to the Bitcoin halving, we're in a whole new world. And I think even my analysis on this YouTube channel will need to change a little bit in terms of tracking this whole new world and this whole new structure that's being formed on the Bitcoin charts, the weekly Bitcoin charts, because guess what? That would be something that's never happened before. So those are my thoughts on Bitcoin right now, as we do have a lot of speculation. We have the chief legal officer over here at Grayscale posting, just filling out some forms. A lot of speculation happening on the charts right now. So everybody, let me know your thoughts about the Bitcoin charts, about the targets that we have on this chart, what you think is going to happen next. I appreciate each and every one of you cruising through. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.